2024 will be the last time 10x gains are just sitting there for the taking. So while it might feel like you're late, you're actually still early if you act now. 2024 is our year. There are 13 altcoins that I suspect will absolutely explode. There's never been more wealth being transferred, more millionaires being created every day, and they're creating it from nothing. You can join them. Just a few weeks ago, I made this investment into Tau, an AI coin that if you look at it, it just makes sense. It seemed totally undervalued at the time. I bought it, I notified our Patreon members that I made this purchase, and less than a month later, I sold that coin for a nice 78% profit. And this is only the start with the Bitcoin halving coming soon. Things are about to get insane. If you'd like access to my trades in real time, you can find my Patreon linked in the description. We sold out last week, so just make sure and grab a spot before someone else takes it. Back to my picks. Some of my favorite coins before the Bitcoin halving are Beam, Prime, Gala, and Ronin. I'll explain why I like them in a minute, and I'll also tell you about 9 more coins that have historical criteria of a 10x in this bull run. Now, crypto, like I said, it's starting to go crazy right now, but that doesn't mean that you should just go pull your pants down, balls to the wall, chasing FOMO. That's how people lost money last time. This time, you need to be a bit more sophisticated. The market is more sophisticated. You need to be more sophisticated. You need to have a plan that's built on 2 key crypto fundamentals. They're super easy to follow once you know them and you can identify them. We're going to cover that in this video. I'm going to cover these. I'm going to give you exact altcoins that I think will 10x. Now remember, this isn't financial advice. Do your own research, but if you're here to try to win big and you want more risk in your life, let's go ahead. Finding 10x altcoins starts with the entire crypto market. You want to zoom out before you zoom in. And when you take the widest possible look at the market, you'll notice something blindingly obvious. Bitcoin halving events throughout history drive the price of altcoins up big time. And if you don't know what the Bitcoin halving is, you probably shouldn't be investing in risky altcoins, but I'll explain anyways. The halving is when Bitcoin mining rewards are cut in half. That means the daily production of new Bitcoin is cut in half, which means the price is likely to go up. Put it this way. Imagine the total production of copper in the world was all of a sudden slashed in half, but the demand for copper remains the same. What do you think would happen to the price of copper? It goes up. Not only does it go up, but there's upward pressure every single day on the price until the market finds a new equilibrium. However, in this video, we're not really concerned with Bitcoin's price directly. It's nice, it's steady, it goes up, it's likely to go up even further with the halving, but what we're really concerned with is how Bitcoin's price drives money into altcoins. As the Bitcoin halving attracts investment and prices increase there in Bitcoin, capital then tends to flow into smaller coins, pumping altcoins throughout the year. Just take a look at this chart from the last halving. Chainlink went up 1,200%, Polygon by 7,000%, Anchor 10,000%. The trick here is finding the right altcoins early and being prepared for that next halving event, which is coming very soon. It's estimated to happen this year as soon as April. The clock is absolutely ticking here. When events like the halving draw attention to the altcoin market, new investors, they do what you're not going to do. They go in, pants around their ankles, looking for something attractive, chasing FOMO, and when they're in this headspace, they're just not thinking independently. And where does someone who isn't thinking independently put their money? In my experience, this comes down to 2 places. First, strong existing altcoin projects that look like safe choices. And second, altcoin projects that tie into a popular existing narrative, like gaming or AI. Now, these people, they haven't quite flooded into the markets yet. It will happen if the market keeps going in this direction, but we can still be early. So what kind of potential 10x coins does this point to? First, I'd like to look at Celestia. Imagine you're a FOMO charged, pants around the ankle, hyped halving investor. You're looking at altcoins, you see Celestia, and you see this all-time glorious price graph. Green line going up and up and up. And well, I think that this project it's quite cool. Celestia is cool. That's not exactly why I like it. I like it because it's the obvious choice when money floods in. The tech is nice. It's a nice insurance policy that gives people an added reason to get involved. You know, it's got this modular blockchain network with a passionate community. It checks that logical box. This all looks good for investors. They're going to want a safe project like this. The investors who make a killing though on this one will be the people who can predict the surge before it happens. Not the people who hop in after the gains are already made. The normies who they hear about their friend making a bunch of money and they're like, I'm just gonna invest here. You wanna get in before them, and you want to be able to identify where those people are going, because they all tend to kind of go to the same places. Another token with the same logic is Injective. Green line, climbing up. It's a finance-focused blockchain that promises best-in-class finance apps. Can it deliver? We don't really know yet, remains to be seen, but it's got a good price chart, and it's making promises that investors will absolutely like. So again, I'd get on this one early because it's a likely target for a pump once the market really starts ripping and roaring. Less strong, still solid though, is Akash. Akash had a dip throughout 2022, but it's climbed back a bit, and it has a cool use case for investors, buying and selling computing resources. But even better, it's cheap. Doesn't cost much to get in early, and wait for that halving money to absolutely flood in. If this money hits Akash, you could see a very, very steep climb in a short period of time. Now let's slightly shift our tactic here for a second, because another tactic for spotting these 10x altcoins is factoring in the hype angle. I want you to understand something for this one. The halving itself is a driving force for price action. Remember, if the supply cuts in half, but demand remains the same, price can only go up. That's supply and demand. But there's another piece to this that really impacts things. The hype around the anticipation of this supply and demand curve can be its own driving force. It's like the hype creates its own positive feedback loop, creating even more hype and even more price action. I've said this in another video, and I'm going to say it again here, but gaming is going to be a huge draw for hype. It's kind of like DeFi in crypto. It's one of those niches that just makes sense. The tech makes sense for this niche. And one key to this will be the first breakout project. If you're looking for a 10x altcoin, paying attention to this is going to be massive, because as soon as one crypto gaming project truly breaks into the mainstream and makes billions of dollars, the rest are going to pump, especially the particular ones that have the right criteria. Investors are going to jump into the market and flood into those good gaming projects, all because of the one trailblazer that did it first. Everyone is going to be looking for the next project to follow suit and explode in prices as well, and a few of them will. For altcoins, I'd look at these 5: Beam, Prime, Immutable X, Gala, and Ronin. I'm looking at them all for the same reason. They're making moves within the gaming space. That means if any crypto gaming project, like off the grid, goes mainstream, these projects are where I'd bet money is going to dive into right after. Just picture this. Some guy named Jim, he goes to work and hears about his coworker Mark, who made massive money on that big trailblazing gaming crypto. What does Jim do next? He's pretty likely to look for the next coin that could pop off with the same principles, one that just makes sense and people are already excited about. This kind of sentiment investing is just thinking one step ahead of the market. Will you always be right? No. But crypto is pure psychology right now, so the more you understand psychology of crypto investors, the better you'll be at predicting where this cash will go, especially once the market is really heating up. That's a great strategy, but it's only one of several strategies. We can make it perfect. Even better is finding a project that can do it all. A more robust, self-generating narrative and hype for an individual coin. A project that's making moves, people are hearing about it, and they have reasons to react to it. It can stand on its own 2 feet. That way, when the halving comes, it starts rising head and shoulders above the rest as investors are already hearing about it, and it's just checking all of these boxes. What projects tick these boxes for me? I'm looking at a mix of bigger and smaller projects. First, let's check out the past. Here's what happened in the last halving event. Chainlink, Polygon, and Anchor. Notice anything here on those big winners thanks to the last halving event? These are all solid projects with well-known names in the industry that were well established before that halving event. They were projects that ticked both the emotional and the logical box for investors. They had exciting price action with people making great returns. You know, you can imagine, just picture all the screenshots. I made so much money off of X, Y, and Z. That checks the emotional box, the excitement box, if you will. Then they have real technology under the hood. That checks the logical box because an investor, a prospective investor, can look and go, you know, that makes sense. They're better than the rest. So you have the exciting emotion and the logical boxes both checked. Polygon especially has ties to a bunch of other projects like Beam. I recommend looking into them. In halving events, I would expect these to continue to attract a lot of attention. Even those good projects, the big winners from the last runs, could really see some massive action during these next runs as well, because they're still building. And like a lot of the bigger projects were essentially nothing in the last bull run. They were just an idea, and now they actually have some tech built, so we could see some big wins there. But here are some lesser known options. Flare. This is a really cool one. It's climbed out of a deep dip thanks in part to its solid use case, which I actually think is pretty slept on. It essentially bridges off-chain and on-chain data, which is insanely useful for developers. You can still grab this one for next to nothing. Its price is super low, which is great, and its reputation could gain an enormous influx of investment within the next 12 months post-Bitcoin halving. Another project called Pendle is absolutely catching my eye. It's kind of complicated under the hood, but the basic idea here is they're innovating how people can earn income off their crypto holdings. I've said this a million times before, I'll say it again, but DeFi is the best use case for crypto, in my opinion, by far. DeFi isn't going anywhere, but I also believe that no one has truly cracked DeFi yet. Like, none of these providers have truly cracked it yet. Eventually, there's going to be a DeFi game-changing project that literally everyone will use because it is so damn good. Now, Pendle, it isn't as cheap as others, but it still has a low enough price that you can get in early, so when halving hits, you are absolutely ready. Now, earlier I touched on video game cryptos and how they're just sitting there ready to pop off. But we've got to understand here is that to make massive gains, you need to know how the engine that drives price action actually works and which coins investment will flow into. To learn how this works, watch this video on screen.